Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I am showing how you can earn $500 to $1000 per month by selling the QR code generator API with functionality which we discussed in our previous video, like creating QR code for brand, creating image and GIF based QR code, user specific QR code, etc. For that, I recommend to go through my previous segno QR code generator video for detailed understanding, and also share some bonus tips for acquiring more users. Let's get started. To serve the customer with our service without sharing the code logic, we need to transform the code as API endpoint, where user can use predefined set of function by calling our API. Create a Python file. We need to install few packages as we did earlier. For developing the REST API, we are using Flask. Flask allows Python developers to create lightweight REST APIs, and it is quite easy to use. Install Flask. There are some other tools as well, like Fast API. You can also use it. Install segno. Install QR code artistic for creating animated image. Install pillow. And lastly, install URL library. And we are done. Let's start writing API script. Import some library to create and show QR code. Import URL library to read external image and GIF. Import Flask. Import request to get data from user during API call. And JSONify to return output in JSON format. And don't forget, we also need to import write artistic from QR code artistic. To run the API, we need to register the web app into app variable, which is then used to run the application. Actually, Flask uses it to know from where to get resources, templates, static files, etc. required to run the application. Now define app.route decorator, which Flask used to assign URL in our app to function easily. And then define any keyword if you want after slash, let's say QR code, which means that our page name is QR code when we open the URL. If you don't define any keyword, which means that this is our parent page. Let's understand this by example. This is YouTube website. If we want to go to my channel page, we need to route it to the channel page. For that, we need to add slash and then channel name, let's say code analytics, and we route it to our channel page. Now back to the topic. Then define method as get request, which means get all the information. There is other method as well, like post to create new data, put to update the existing data, and delete to delete the data. But currently we needed only get method. Define the function where we put our code logic. Let's say create QR code. First, create a simple QR code generator API. To get the input text or link from user, we need to use request method from Flask. Create a variable value and use request.get method. Parameter name, which we passed at request side. You can also add checks condition for variable, so we can check whether input is valid or not before creating the QR code, and use JSONify function to return the response as JSON Now we can use segno to create the QR code and save the QR code in buffer. Check out the previous video for syntax detail. Return statement is quite interesting. We need to return three things. First is buffer.getValue, which return the entire content of the buffer. Second is the status code of your API. Let's say 200 for successful, 400 for error, etc. And lastly, define the content type. Let's say we are returning image as output, so mention the content type image and define the format, that is PNG. Define the Python main. Mention app.run to run the app when we execute this Python file. Pass debug mode true, which allow developer to locate any possible error by logging a traceback of error. That's it. Our simple API is created. Let's create a small Python script to test the endpoint. We can also use Postman to test the API. Import request to send GET request to our server. Type request.get and pass the URL of endpoint. Currently, our API is in local, so our URL is localhost:5000. 5000 is our port number where our server is running, and then mention our page name that we define, that is QR code. Pass parameter dictionary which contain input value of our API. Inside that, define value parameter with input. When we get the response, write it in the file. Use open Python function. Pass file name that's supposed to be, and WB for writing file, and then write the response content. Before testing it, first run the server. Simply execute our API Python file and server will start automatically. Now our server is running. Let's execute the text file to test endpoint. Open the program and terminal side by side. It helps to look overall if any error occur. You see it gives some response and also give status code 200, which means API runs successfully. You can also test the endpoint using browser as well. Copy the text after GET request. Back to the browser and open new tab. Currently our API server is running local, so type localhost port 5000 and pass the text we copied and hit enter. You see we get the QR code as a response, and when you check terminal we get response code 200. Same behavior it show when we deploy the API and call the API endpoint. That's great. Our simple QR code API is working fine. Let's add image QR code features. To create image QR code or text QR code, user need to pass that option as input. For that, create another input parameter option. Currently, we are creating API which create QR code for image, text, URL, GIF and brand. So, if user provide any other option, it won't work. Put a validation condition to check valid option. If option is not in list, return a JSON message, selected option not supported. And also put status code 400 for error. Now define if option is image. Reuse our code. to create image-based QR code using writeArtistic function. First, make QR code using value we passed. Save the QR code in buffer and then pass QR code in writeArtistic function. We also need background image as input. For that, create another input parameter, media path, which take image path as input. Add image path validation as well to check image is present or not. Once we get the media path, pass this as a background parameter and target parameter as buffer, as we want to save the QR code in buffer. Also pass kind and scale parameter as well. Define the return statement as earlier. Now put this code as else condition. So if user pass text or URL as option, we simply create normal QR code and return it. Let's test the endpoint again. Before that, add option and media path in input parameter of testing script. Set option as image, and for media path, pass this funny cat image path as we used earlier. Restart the server and run the test file. We get the status code 200. Here it generated the image based QR code. You can also check it in browser as well. Copy the text after get statement. Paste it after localhost 5000. We get the image based QR code. In browser, you can edit the option as text. Now we get the normal QR code. That's great. Our API working for both image and text. Let's also tweak the code little bit to work with GIF as well. No need to add another input parameter. Media path also accept GIF path. Put GIF in validation condition to check if it is present or not. Same code work for GIF based QR code generation. Just add option as GIF in if condition. To save output as GIF, we need to pass it in kind parameter as GIF. Do one thing. Let's check the media format before creating the QR code. Use image.open to read the image or GIF. Dot format to know the media type, and then apply dot lower to get the format in small case. Now we can use attach type variable as input to the kind parameter. So if media type is image, we are passing it as PNG, or if it is in GIF format, we are passing as GIF. No need to change the content type in output, as GIF is also a kind of image type. And finally, test it for GIF type. Change the output file save format as GIF. Pass option parameter as GIF. Also change the media type as minion GIF that we are using earlier. No need to restart the server as it already running in debug mode. So it reload automatically when we do changes in our script. Run the test. It ran successfully. We get the status code 200. Check the output in folder and open it. Great, it worked fine. Currently, we are using image and GIF from local, but it complicates the things when we deploy our API on server. Then to create the image or GIF based QR code, we need to upload the media on server, and also we have to explicitly write code to upload the file in server. For simplicity, Let's use image and GIF link as a media path input. So when we want to create image or GIF based QR code, we just pull the media from URL and generate the QR code and return the output as a response. No need to upload the media. To do so, use try and accept method to avoid error while reading the files from URL. Read the media file using URL retrieve from URL library. It is used to retrieve the data from given URL and store it to the required file directory. If error occur, return JSON statement invalid media as accept statement. At production, you can also set error code for a statement to know which causing error. Let's say if error occur while reading the file, return the status code 404. If error occur and we see a error code 404, so we know that where is the exact location that it causing the error. Actually, we pull the media from URL, so replace the media path with media. Take previous album GIF as an example to test it. Copy the link. Put that in testing file as a media path. Execute the testing file. Here we get the status code 200. Check the output file in folder. Great! It generated the GIF QR code by retrieving media from URL. Let's also add another feature to generate QR code with brand logo. Put another elif condition with option as brand. Reuse the code to generate the QR code with logo from previous video. Copy it and paste it. Remove the link in make function and pass value what user pass. We also not saving the image explicitly. We are storing it in buffer. Also, QR code should be read from buffer as well. Logo image is also passed by user as a media path, so no need to create another variable for that. Pass media to read and use for logo. Once QR code is generated with logo, we also saving it in buffer. Now here we have two options. Either we use our previous ways to return the output, or we can modify the code to auto download once QR code is generated. Let's go with second option. For that, import make response from Flask. Pass buffer.getValue in make response function. Define content type. We also called it as MIME tab. Set the content disposition header to attachment and file name to brand.png. You can set any name so that browser will automatically trigger a download when the user visits the endpoint instead of displaying the QR code in the browser. And lastly, return the response. Let's test it. We are using this Google image logo for branding. Copy the URL. Pass it in media path variable of testing file. Option as brand. Restart the server. Actually, it gets disconnected when code syntax error occur, and save output as a PNG file. Execute the testing file. It runs successfully and we get the status code 200. But here you didn't see any downloading. It saved the image in same way as we did earlier. To check auto downloading is working or not, copy the text after get, back to the browser and paste it after the URL localhost. Now it downloaded automatically. That's great. Our API is working fine with all features. Let's deploy it on server. I'm using Pythonanywhere for deployment because of two reasons. First, it is very easy to use, and second, no need to provide credit card details to use it. You can also use other services like AWS, GCP, etc. Log in the account. If you don't have, create it using email. This is your dashboard. For API deployment, click on Open Web App. Currently, we don't have any web app. Click on Add New Web App. Click on Next. We are using Flask framework for API. So, click on Flask. Select Python version if any specific. We develop our API using Python 3.9. So, select that. Leave this page as it is. Click on Next. Here is our configured web app. And this is your web URL. Just like we have localhost 5000. Currently it displays welcome message when you open it. Now scroll down, go to the code section, open source code directory. Here is our initial Flask app. Copy our API code and paste it here. Save it. Before running the server, first install few packages. For that, open the console, install segno, type pip, and then Python version we selected, install. Pass user flag for installing packages in some specific directories, and then package name, that is segno. Same way we install QR code artistic, and we done with the installation. No need to install Flask. It already been configured in our environment. Close the console. This is your virtual environment and other files. You can also create your own virtual environment. As we not needed any specific virtual environment, so we didn't create it. Back to the web app. Click on reload to execute the code and run the server. Now our server is started. Click on web URL. It displays not found message as we didn't pass any input to our API. Let's say we want to create QR code with this cat image as background. Do same as we did earlier. Copy the text from our local example and paste it in browser after URL. Here we get the image based QR code. You can also edit the option in browser as well. Put the option as text. You get the normal text QR code. Great, our API is working. Let's sell our API and earn some money. For that, we are using Rapid API. It is a great platform for test, use and connect to thousands of APIs, where you can also sell your API as a subscription basis. We are also listing our API here. Create the account if you haven't or log in it. This is your Rapid API dashboard. Here it contains various categories of API which you can find that needed. For listing the API, click on My APIs on top right. Currently we don't have any API project. Click on Add API project. Put the name of your API. Define the short description like what your API do. Select category. Currently our API come under tools category, so select that. This is our personal project, so select team as a personal and click on add project. This is our API project dashboard. Now click on hub listing. Let's start adding details for our API. Upload logo of your API if you have any. Scroll down and left all as it is. Check the box to accept term and condition. Make the API as public. In the base URL, test our API hosted server. Save the changes. After that, click on endpoint. Here, we add or define our endpoint. Click on create REST endpoint. Put endpoint name, anything. Define a small description for endpoint. We using GET request, so don't change it. Here, put our page name that we define in code. Copy it, paste it here. Define the input parameter that our API take. We use this while testing. First is option. Select data type as a string. Put example value as a brand. And check the box as this option is required to run the API. Add value parameter as well. Put some text. This is also compulsory field to run the API. Lastly, define media path. Pass cat image URL as input. And it is not compulsory field as we also generating the text or URL based QR code. And finally, save it. You can also test the API here as well. Click on View in Hub on top right. It is used to test the endpoint. Select language as Python. This code quite looks similar that we used for testing during development. Only extra thing is header dictionary, which is used for rapid API authentication. Here is our input parameter of the API. To test, click on test endpoint. We get the status code 200 and also get cat image in middle of the QR code. And definitely this is not a brand QR code with cat logo. Test again by changing the input parameter. Change option to image for generating image QR code. Click again on test endpoint and we get the image based QR code. Check for option type text and we get the normal text based QR code. We tested our API and all features work fine. Let's monetize our API. Click on monetize. Here define your API plan, what you want to offer to the users. Define basic plan. This should be cheap and base version we offer. Set plan type to monthly. Put limit on number of requests per second we offer. Like maximum 10 requests per second with this plan. Put a subscription fee as a $5. You can set anything and save the changes. If you want to set any monthly API request quota, click on request row. Currently it is unlimited. Set quota type to monthly. Set your monthly limit. Let's say 1000 requests per month. You can even set extra charges. If user try to use more than plan quota, set a small value. Let's say 1 cent per request. Save the changes and your base plan is ready. Same way we can add pro plan in which we offer more API request and monthly quota. Click on edit. Leave plan type as monthly. You can even create plan in which we set price for each request via pay per use option. Put limit on number of requests per second. Remember, this is our premium plan, so offer higher number of requests per second, like 10 times the basic one, that is 100 requests per second. recommend this plan to the user, put a subscription fee as a $10, and save the changes. Also set monthly API request quota. Click on request row, set quota type to monthly, set some higher limit, let's say 10,000 requests per month. Also set 1 cent per request for overuse charges. Save the changes. Now your pro plan is ready. You can even offer ultra plan as well, where we offer unlimited request with little higher price. Do exact same as we did for previous plan. For monthly quota, leave it as unlimited. You can even add more details or features like provide dedicated help support to the premium plan members, onboarding videos, etc. Now our API service is live with 3 different plans, so user can use it by subscribing to our APIs. You can even offer free tiers to acquire users. Apart from that, we also need to add payment gateways to accept payment, but I am not covering it in this video. It already been little long. Tell me in comment if you need a video to set up payment gateway to accept payment in Rapid API. Let's verify our API is live or not. Back to the API hub page. Select the category tools. Search for our API by name. Here we get our API and also displaying paid. That's great, our API is now live. You can also add other features to the API and even change the subscription fee. With all features and nominal subscription fee, you can easily acquire 10 to 50 users monthly and easily earn $500 to $1,000 per month. To acquire new user, you can even offer some free tiers plan, so user can try your API and then take monthly plans. You can even list your API on other marketplaces like API Layers, AWS Marketplace, Integrately, etc. to generate more revenues by reaching out the wider users. I also put my API link hosted on Pythonanywhere in description. You can try and test it. That's all from my side. I hope this will be helpful. For queries or any doubt, please leave a comment.